Alrighty, so the doubleheader in terms of tonight's MLS first round playoff action is in the books, and in this video, I'll review the first game of the doubleheader between Atlanta United versus Columbus Crew. And once this video is uploaded, I'll be reviewing the second game of the doubleheader between Nashville SC and Orlando City. But in this game, too, between Atlanta and Columbus, well, this game kind of went what I thought it was going to be in this best of three series. I mean, I think the last game definitely did not have an implication of what we're going to see in this best of three series. In fact, the last game, unless you're a Columbus fan, was a very disappointing kind of affair for Atlanta and neutral fans because, that was a relatively comfortable win for the Columbus Crew. They kind of cruised their way to a 2-0 victory. Well, this game kind of shows you that, yeah, we are going to see that high octane and high flying action where both teams go quickly on the transition. At time, midfield pretty much was non-existent in this one. And also, not to mention the score line. We got a high scoring kind of game, though. I don't think the score line kind of indicated the fact that it was a comfortable win for Atlanta United to force this one to game three. I mean, they kind of poured on late to make the score line a little bit emphatic than what we saw throughout this game. Now, early on, Columbus had most of the possession early. Guzan would deny Gresso from close in the 4th minute before Johnny Silver would hit it right to Schulte. And that was the first shot for Atlanta, which already equaled the same amount of shots that they have. They only had one shot in the last game against Columbus, which is one of the fewest amount that any team has had in the playoffs. Obviously, it's not the fewest amount because we know who has the fewest amount of shot in the playoffs. And that, of course, is Real Salt Lake. They had zero shot for 120 minutes against the Seattle Sounders, and yet they still were able to win that infamous game, also known as the David Ochoa villain game. I mean, so, if you're a Seattle fan and you're watching this review, I do apologize that I had to bring up that game. I mean, you knew it was coming when I have to mention the fact that Atlanta only had one shot, which was one of the fewest amount of shots that a team register in the playoffs. That infamous game that we saw a couple of years ago between Seattle and RSL will always mention as the game where a team register no shots whatsoever, and yet they still end up winning the game. But the shots were one apiece through 15 minutes, and then we thought we saw the opening goal in the 17th minute when Caleb Wiley puts it into the back net. The problem was the flag did not agree with him, so the goal was disallowed for offside. Rossi then just missed the header after Cucho set him up from close range. It was a beautiful setup there from Cucho Hernandez, but Rossi just could not quite get there in time to hit that one in. The game, as I expected, has been very open. There's been very fast-paced attack, especially on the build-up. But the problem was the final third has been a problem for both of these teams. So as crazy as how it was kind of up and down at time, almost similar to what we see with El Tráfico, where it turns into a track meet, the final third kind of be become a little bit lackluster, and therefore that's why we didn't have a lot of shots. But in the 37th minute, we saw the game first goal of this one, as Yakimakis would score his first goal in the playoffs from Lennon and Risotto to give Atlanta United a 1-0 lead. Yeah, you cannot let Yakimakis wide open and basically have a chance to hit that one in because he's just such a threat in the air. And here, Brooks Lennon, he pretty much puts it up into the air, and Yakimakis completely left on mark there, and yeah, that's not great defending in a Columbus Crew standpoint. So yeah, that gave Atlanta United a 1-0 lead. Rossi did try to respond, but he missed wide there. But Columbus does respond in the 45th minute, and guess who? It's Cucho Hernandez. He scored from Rossi and Maria to make it 1-1 in this one. And that came off a turnover from Atlanta United. You cannot do that against this Columbus Crew team, especially how quickly they hit on the transition. I also thought that goal kind of sums up Atlanta United at times this season. This team has had some really bad turnovers that they committed that turns it into goals that they have conceded, and was another example of it. Well, it looked like we were going to head to halftime with this one tied up one piece. And then Johnny Silva had other ideas. So he scored here from Yakimakis and Saba to make it 2-1 in favor of Atlanta United. That came off of a transition, and Columbus just completely got caught out. That's one of the things that is something that teams are going to try to exploit against the Columbus Crew. With the way that Wilfred Nancy likes to push man forward and play a high line, if you are able to hit them on the transition, then yeah, you are gonna be able to create the chances, and this is kind of one of the downfall of Nancy ball, where if you play such a high line like that, if you get caught on the transition, yeah, you're kind of screw, and that's exactly what happened in this one. And yeah, Atlanta, they retake the lead as we hit the halftime with them leading 2-1, as that was really the last kick of the first half. Now in the second half, Gresso puts it wide as the flag went up before Yakimakis puts it wide from close range, and really just straight off the bat again. It's been very fast pace. It was end to end. There was chances coming in for both end. Yakimakis then pulls it just wide from close range before on the other end, Cucho had an out shot that goes right to Guzan. Silva then, yeah, he missed an open net from 6 yards out. And if you want to know what's the worst miss of this season, there you go. I mean, that is one that John De Silva, I know he scored a goal in this one, but man, if Atlanta United didn't win this one, and at that point we still didn't know if they were going to win it because it was only a 1 goal game and it was still a relatively open kind of game, then I thought that that could be a chance that could come back to haunt Atlanta. In fact, I immediately wrote that. Will this chance come back to haunt Atlanta if they end up losing this game? And if they do, yeah, Johnny Silva is going to have nightmare about this one over and over again because yeah, from 6 yards out like that, he puts that one high over the bar. And I think to quote what Danny Higginbottom said in this one, it's harder to miss from that range, and it's harder to put that one over the bar than actually put it in the back of the net. So yeah, that was just a horror miss there from John De Silva, and fortunately for Atlanta, that didn't come back to bite them late in this one. Though Cucho would blast it high from close range, and up to this point, Columbus started to control this game, and the turnover problem is starting to become a problem for Atlanta. They started to turn the ball over way too easily again against this Columbus team. And you can also feel the nervy energy inside of a sold out Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I mean, you can definitely hear that as the game goes along. There was a lot of tension because with the way that it's only 2-1 in this one, and knowing how open this game is, you just had a feeling that this one is not going to end 2-1. You knew that there's probably going to be another goal left in the last 15 minutes of this. And then in the 73rd minute, there was a huge shout for a penalty for Columbus as they feel like Yoboa was brought down by Lovjanitse. I think in the end the referee got this call right. In fact, I applaud what the referee did in this play. I mean, we talk about penalties and we talk about soft kind of call. We definitely saw it in the game between Vancouver and LAFC and how controversial that was. And I thought this was going to be one of those sequences where we might see a penalty that was given because of a soft call. But I think in the end they got this one absolutely spot on. I mean, your boa, he clearly went down on the ground as Love Janidze was making the challenge, and also there wasn't really a lot of contact too. I mean, if they would have given that a penalty, I would say that this fall would have been just as soft as the penalty call that we saw just a couple of nights ago between Vancouver and LAFC. But that being said, in the 83rd minute, I'm pretty sure the 40,000 inside was really a huge sigh of relief when Mascara would score from Yakimakis to make it 3-1 in favor of Atlanta. Because up to this point, it was all about who is going to get this next goal. Whoever scored this next goal is going to really change the outcome of this game. And fortunately for the Five Stripe fans in attendance, it's their team that scores the goal as Edwin Mascara, of course, coming off the bench and become a great super sub here to make it 3-1 in this one. And to add extra insurance in the 88th minute, Thiago Mata would score his first goal of the playoffs. I see you score from Wiley to make it 4-1 in favor of Atlanta. Yeah, Columbus, you probably shouldn't let Amana basically just run at you uncontestedly into the box like that. I mean, that was just way too easy for Thiago Amada to score a goal there. And yeah, that made it 4-1. Max Arfson did make it a little interesting as he scored here for Yoboa to make it 4-2 in favor of Columbus, but it was really just a consolation goal as Atlanta, they forced game three in this best of three series, winning 4-2 in this one. Shots in this one, 14 shots with 11 that Columbus had, 4 shots on goal for the 7 that Atlanta has. Both team had 4 shots off target, both team had 3 shots that was blocked, and possession-wise, 51% possession compared to the 49% possession that Columbus has in this game. And honestly, I am so happy the fact that we're going to get another game of this. I've said this before in the playoffs, besides the St. Louis versus St. Louis game, I think this is probably the most anticipated game in terms of just the way that both of these teams kind of play very similarly. Like to go quickly on the transition, and that likes to play that fast paced kind of attack where some people likes to see some action on a soccer pitch. And the fact that we're gonna get another game out of this, it should be very interesting to see how that's gonna be at Lower Dog Field on Sunday between both of these teams. And keep in mind, Mata will be available for that game, unlike in the first game where he was not available, and how that really kind of crippled this Atlanta United attack. Yeah, that should be a heck of a game freak between both all these team, and that I won't be surprised that could be another high scoring affair kind of game, just like what we saw in this one between Atlanta and Columbus. But there you have it. That is pretty much it in terms of looking at this game. Let me know in the comments below what do you think of this game. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you like, smash the subscribe button. And yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.